It's done. The files are out. And 50 Cent's team, silent. Dead silent. But why? What just happened that had one of hip-hop's most feared veterans hitting the mute button faster than a TikTok clip goes viral? You know the type. Memes, diss tracks, public call-outs, a family feud that makes reality TV look like a nursery rhyme. Yeah, that's the level we're talking. King Harris thought he had the keys to the throne. He dropped the so-called humiliating files, alleged secrets, alleged receipts, and alleged chaos designed to put Curtis Jackson on blast for good. And now, the mogul who built a career trolling the internet is gone, vanished, mute, just like that. But hold up. Is this the calm before a storm? Or did King Harris actually strike a nerve so deep it cracked 50's ironclad armor? We're talking family, we're talking legacy, we're talking about an entire bloodline ready to ride for respect. And somewhere in the middle of this digital explosion, the internet went ballistic. Memes are flying, fans are picking sides, old grudges are resurfacing. And Curtis? Well, let's just say he's letting silence do the talking. But silence can scream too. So buckle up, because what you're about to see isn't just a rap beef. This is war. From the moment those alleged files hit the timeline, the game changed. 50 Cent, the man who built an empire out of trolling memes and turning every online slap into a payday, suddenly had the volume turned down. Silent. Gone. For someone who's spent decades crafting a persona around being untouchable, unstoppable, the king of internet warfare, this was weird, unprecedented, unheard of. And the person behind the leak? King Harris, 21 years old, young, raw, and fueled by the kind of rage only comes when you feel someone just disrespected your family in front of millions. Now let's back up a little. To really understand why this is chaotic, we need the whole picture. 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, doesn't just play hip-hop. And he lives it like chess with explosions. Every tweet, every meme, every post is calculated. If you think he just snaps and posts, nah. That's decades of building power, reputation, fear. He's the guy who can make an entire internet crumble with a single screenshot. And King Harris? Well, he's young, but he's been raised in the shadow of T.I., the realest of the real, a man who don't take disrespect lightly. That combination of youthful energy and bloodline loyalty? Dangerous. Yeah, so when King dropped what he called the humiliating files, the internet did what it always does, chaos. The posts weren't just leaks, they were a statement. Alleged FBI documents from a decade ago accusing 50 Cent of cooperating in investigations. Real or fake? Honestly, in hip-hop, that barely matters. Perception is louder than truth, and the seed was planted. Fans immediately split, timelines lit up, and everybody suddenly had a stake in the war. People screenshot everything. Memes flew. 50 Cent snitch? Trended. And Curtis? For the first time in a long time, it looked like he was on defense. It wasn't just about documents. It was about ego. It was about legacy. It was about a family that doesn't bend and a son who refuses to let insults slide. King Harris didn't just stop at the files. He went live, uncut, unfiltered, and he didn't hold anything back. Go dig up your mama. Post a picture. Stop playing with my mama. That was raw, painful, unpolished energy. And that was a son riding for his family in a way that publicists can't approve, social media managers can't control. And somewhere behind the screens, 50 Cent had to be feeling it. This isn't the first time 50 has been involved in a feud. From Ja Rule to Rick Ross, from Nas to Fat Joe, Curtis built his legacy on public slaps, trolling, exposing, making fun of, and outmaneuvering opponents. He thrives on drama. Yeah, that's the thing. King Harris stepped into a ring built by a man with decades of experience in psychological warfare and didn't flinch. Most people get eaten alive just by the mention of a 50 Cent post. King? He went nuclear. And in hip-hop, that's a dangerous game because Curtis doesn't just fight you, he dismantles you piece by piece. And that's why the files weren't just files. They were a statement, a challenge, a disruption. The kind of move that makes someone like 50 Cent pause, even briefly. Because think about it, Curtis spent years controlling perception. Every Instagram post, every meme, every viral clip is curated. And here comes a 21-year-old throwing perceived evidence onto the timeline, calling him out, putting his own bloodline on the front lines. That's chaos. That's a masterclass in putting a veteran on their back foot without even saying a word. But it didn't stop there. Social media exploded. Fans split down the middle. Some praising King Harris for defending his mother, for standing up to a man who threw shade at Tiny Harris and their family. Others saying, "You don't touch a dead woman's resting place, period. That's sacred ground." And somewhere in the middle, the culture collectively realized just how far the lines in hip-hop have shifted. Personal attacks? Sure. Diss tracks? Expected. But family, mothers, graves? That's new territory. That's viral fuel for years. And Curtis knew it. And the response from 50 Cent? Oddly muted at first. He posted some memes, the usual trolling energy, calling T.I. a rat, throwing old paperwork around like confetti at a parade. But the moment King started referencing his own family, his own bloodline, Curtis stopped. Gone. Silence. And that's when the internet started smelling weakness. Not fear, not regret, but a pause long enough for everyone to see that maybe, just maybe, King Harris hit a nerve that decades of trolling couldn't reach. And let's not forget T.I. Clifford Harris, the OG, the veteran, the father in this situation. He wasn't just sitting back watching his son fight. He stepped in strategically, dropped multiple tracks in rapid succession, each one crafted to hit Curtis's image, his reputation, his legacy. War, bully, every record a surgical strike, dissecting Curtis's persona, exposing the weakness behind the bravado. The father-son combination was lethal. And for a man like 50 Cent, who's used to dictating the narrative, that combination, uncharted territory. By mid-February, it wasn't just a beef anymore. It was an all-out offensive. King Harris was dropping clips from 50 Cent's own past, targeting his absent family, highlighting old wounds, twisting the knife where it hurt most, and the internet ate it up. Every post, every reaction, every screenshot became viral content, amplifying the impact. And Curtis, he was forced to adjust, strategize, pause, deepfake videos, sarcastic posts, AI clips. Every move calculated to regain control, to remind the world he still had power, still had influence. But for the first time in years, he wasn't dictating the tempo. He was reacting. That reaction, that pause, is what made this story explosive. It wasn't just a public dispute. It was generational, strategic, personal, family-oriented. The stakes weren't streams, tickets, or clout. They were respect, legacy, pride, and bloodlines. And King Harris understood that better than most. Every move, every post, every live session was designed to make Curtis uncomfortable, to strip away the untouchable persona he carefully curated over decades. And somewhere in the mix, the culture noticed. Old heads, new fans, social media vultures, everyone realized this wasn't just entertainment. It was warfare. It was a blueprint for taking down a veteran by exploiting family, history, and public perception. And by February 23rd, when the files were circulating like wildfire, when diss tracks were streaming everywhere, when memes had exploded across every platform, the question on everyone's mind was simple. How does 50 Cent respond when his own tactics get turned against him? Because what happened next didn't just involve reactions, memes, or diss tracks. It escalated into something deeper, something personal, and something the internet is still buzzing about. The silence, the strategy, the subtle psychological plays. It all starts there, right at the edge of Curtis Jackson's first move back into the public war. A war he didn't expect to be this personal. So, where do we pick up? Right at the moment Curtis Jackson finally had to respond. But here's the thing. He didn't just snap back with memes and petty trolling like we've seen 1,000 times before. Nah, this was different. This was strategic, surgical, and calculated. But because King Harris wasn't just any kid with a keyboard and a camera, he had blood, he had loyalty, he had the weight of a family legacy in his corner. And for a man who built an empire on online chaos, having someone turn your own tactics back on you, that's a headache, a real one. By February 24th, 50 Cent's camp was in full-on containment mode. No posts, no tweets, no memes, just silence. But don't get it twisted. Behind the scenes, the machine was moving. Or sources close to Curtis, let's call them extremely anonymous for obvious reasons, told us the team was scrambling to clean up old leaks, prepping responses, and vetting every single post that could potentially explode into a narrative disaster. "He's never been on defense like this," one source said. "This isn't about disrespect or rivalry. This is about family. Curtis feels it in his soul." Meanwhile, King Harris didn't even flinch. If anything, he leaned harder. Instagram Live after Instagram Live, every clip was sharper, rawer, more personal. And the content wasn't just rhetorical. He brought receipts, old photos, alleged documents, screenshots from private convos, every piece designed to make Curtis squirm. And the internet? It loved it. Memes were made. GIFs were spread. The chaos was turning into a cultural event. A digital spectacle that had nothing to do with music and everything to do with legacy and loyalty. T.I., naturally. I was right there backing the kid up. He dropped 4 tracks in rapid succession over 3 days. War, bully, strategic strikes designed to puncture Curtis's carefully crafted image. Bars dissected him. The keyboard warrior, the meme lord, the guy who talks massive but folds when reality bites. And the father-son dynamic? Brutal. King Harris had the fire. T.I. had the experience. Together, it wasn't just a beef. It was a masterclass in psychological warfare. And here's where things got even messier. King Harris didn't stop at personal jabs. He went for what hits hardest in hip-hop culture. Credibility. Old allegations resurfaced. Fake or real, doesn't matter. People love a scandal, and he dropped alleged FBI documents, dated October 12, 2009, that accused Curtis of cooperating in investigations surrounding G-Unit affiliate Lelo Mac Fletcher. According to King's captions, Curtis allegedly provided anonymous tips to investigators, pointing fingers at James Jimmy Henchman Roseman. And while savvy fans immediately knew these documents had been debunked years ago, the moment they landed on timelines during this fiery exchange, the damage was instantaneous. Perception is everything, and King Harris knew it. Social media went ballistic. Hip-hop forums were ablaze. Reddit threads exploded. YouTube comment sections overflowed with theories, memes, and hot takes. 50 snitch confirmed. King Harris going in on a legend? T.I. really let his son take the gloves off? Every platform, every algorithm was being gamed without a single paid campaign, organic chaos fueled by a family feud and raw energy. The cultural stakes were insane, and somewhere in the middle of all this, Curtis made a move that no one predicted. Instead of hitting back with another diss track, he deployed the weapon that has kept him untouchable for years: silence. But silence isn't passive in the world Curtis built. It's active, it's strategic. It's a psychological move that forces the opponent to overcommit. King Harris, hyped by momentum and adrenaline, was pouring fuel on a fire that Curtis could now control. The young man was pushing the envelope. But Curtis, he was recalibrating, waiting, watching, calculating. The Harris family offensive was now multidimensional. Not only was King Harris attacking Curtis personally, but Damani Harris. T.I.'s other son jumped in, sampling viral audio and memes in a track that directly referenced 50's late mother, Sabrina Jackson. That move was brutal. That move was unprecedented. Hip-hop had rules, and one of the oldest was, leave family alone. And for King and Damani, those rules didn't exist. Loyalty to bloodline superseded all of it. The entire campaign wasn't just entertainment, it was war strategy. And the entire world was watching. Fans were divided. And the internet responded exactly how you'd expect. One side praised King for defending his family without hesitation, calling Curtis out for disrespecting Tiny Harris and the Harris legacy. Another side criticized the move as reckless, saying no matter the provocation, dragging a deceased mother into a public feud is a line you never cross. But King didn't care. He never cared. That's the difference between a curated celebrity persona and a raw, unfiltered young man with nothing to lose. Yeah, and while all this chaos was going viral, Curtis finally re-entered the narrative in a way only he could. Deepfake videos, AI-edited clips from ATL, memes that seemed playful but carried undertones of indifference. He reminded everyone that despite appearances, he wasn't rattled. That right there was the genius of Curtis Jackson. Because while King and T.I. were moving in real time, emotionally charged, Curtis was treating the entire situation like a chessboard. Every post, every meme, on every clip was a piece, and the entire culture was unwittingly playing along. The intensity escalated further when diss tracks started dropping faster than fans could keep up. T.I.'s War series dissected Curtis's image, questioning his authenticity, his past, and the carefully built online persona. King Harris dropped Made Man, blasting Curtis for bullying women, attacking credibility, and referencing old L's that nobody expected to resurface. Every track streamed millions of times. Every lyric dissected online, every bar turned into commentary fodder for influencers, reaction channels, and late-night discussions. The narrative wasn't just about music anymore. It was a full-blown cultural event. By February 25th, the humiliating files had cemented their place in this saga. Whether real or fake, credible or fabricated, they became a weapon. King Harris leveraged them masterfully. A single Instagram post, a couple of lines of caption, and suddenly, Curtis was on the defensive. And that's when things shifted from beef to psychological warfare. The narrative had flipped. The hunter became the hunted. 50 Cent, the man who prided himself on being untouchable online, was suddenly being chased by the consequences of his own legacy. And the public? Obsessed. Every reaction, every post, every meme was being dissected. Rick Ross weighed in. Charleston White chimed in. Even old vets like Jim Jones couldn't resist analyzing the chaos. Then fans debated, dissected, and chose sides. The social media landscape wasn't just buzzing, it was nuclear. And all of this played out before the courts, before the real world, before any music charts even came into play. But what really made this story unforgettable wasn't just the leaks, the diss tracks, or the memes. It was the emotion, the loyalty, the bloodline. King Harris had transformed what started as a typical celebrity feud into something deeply personal. And Curtis, well, Curtis was forced to adjust. Pause, evaluate, and in true Curtis Jackson fashion, respond in the only way he could, indirectly, calculated, and with a smile only he could carry while the culture went ballistic. By the end of February 25th, the digital battlefield was set. Every post, every track, every clip had a purpose, and the tension? Unbearable. Social media, blogs, forums, and reaction channels had no idea how this would end. Fans debated, vets analyzed, and Curtis? The Curtis's camp stayed strategically quiet, letting the silence speak volumes. But the question hanging in the air was obvious. How far would King Harris push before Curtis finally struck in a way that only a mogul like him could? Because all the chaos, all the diss tracks, all the public outrage, and every single psychological move had been leading to one inevitable conclusion: the fallout. the consequences. The moment when digital chaos meets real-world calculation, again, the Harris family learns exactly what it means to challenge Curtis Jackson. The battlefield was fully established. Every player knew their role. Every bar, every post, every clip, every meme had a purpose. But now the war wasn't just online. It was spilling into the real world, into public perception, into the very fabric of hip-hop credibility. Curtis Jackson, the man who built an empire out of chaos, had to make a decision. Fight back with music? Let King Harris run wild? Or hit with a move so unorthodox that it left everyone questioning what they thought they knew about him? The first sign came subtly. February 26, 2026. Social media was buzzing, and all the major outlets had the story on repeat. Hip-hop fans were divided, debates raging across Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. Was King Harris out of line, or was Curtis finally getting a taste of his own medicine? But then, something unexpected happened. All of Curtis's posts related to the beef, memes, and alleged FBI paperwork disappeared, scrubbed, gone. Every indirect attack, every shade thrown at T.I., King, and the Harris family, poof, vanished. His Instagram went from nuclear battlefield to serene garden in a matter of hours. Now, some might think that's defeat. But if you know 50 Cent, you know this was a tactical pause, a repositioning, a signal. And as his team quietly prepped behind the scenes, the culture exploded with speculation. He's out of the game! 50 snapped! King Harris won! But the truth, Curtis wasn't gone. He was plotting. He knew every move King made, every narrative twist, and every viral moment. And the next move was about to redefine the entire saga. While Curtis's silence dominated headlines, T.I. and his sons weren't letting up. King Harris kept posting, live after live, videos showing his loyalty, his fury, his determination to protect his family's honor. And he even went as far as posting content near Curtis's late mother, Sabrina Jackson's gravesite, making it clear, cross my family and you answer for it. And let's be real, that move sent shockwaves. It was bold, it was raw, and it was exactly the kind of thing that keeps the culture talking for weeks, if not months. T.I., meanwhile, dropped 2 more diss tracks, a strategic follow-up to War and Bully, meticulously dissecting Curtis's public persona, highlighting inconsistencies in his social media bravado, and questioning his credibility as a mogul versus a man. The lines were sharp, the bars cut deep, and the Harris family's strategy was simple: overwhelm Curtis with relentless exposure of his past and present contradictions. Every post, every track, every clip was a calculated psychological maneuver designed to put him on the defensive, and it worked. But then, February 27th, the day everything went nuclear. Curtis Jackson released a move nobody saw coming. He posted an AI-edited deepfake clip from ATL, superimposing his own face into a scene alongside T.I., creating a visual that was casual, almost playful, yet packed with a subtle, dismissive threat. And the caption? Pure Curtis. What's up? Ain't heard from you in a while. Where you been? I'm cool. Just taking a minute. The energy was nonchalant, almost casual, but the message was crystal clear. Curtis wasn't intimidated. He wasn't rushing. But he was indifferent. And in hip-hop warfare, indifference from a legend is often more devastating than the harshest diss track. And the 4 words that would echo across social media: grown man business. Just like that, Curtis drew a line. No matter how loud King Harris got, no matter how many tracks he dropped, no matter how viral the posts became, Curtis made it clear. This arena, he's been running it for decades. He's operating on a different level. And in his eyes, King Harris, as talented, loyal, and fiery as he was still a kid stepping into a room of grown men. The reaction to that was everything you'd expect from a culture that thrives on drama. Allegiances flipped in hours. Rick Ross openly supported King Harris. even teasing merch that referenced the viral gravesite posts. Others criticized King for escalating too far, saying personal attacks on deceased family members were beyond the line. Meanwhile, social media algorithms ate it up. TikTok clips, his Instagram stories, YouTube compilations, millions were engaging, debating, and dissecting every moment. And the more the culture consumed, the more the stakes rose. But let's talk consequences. Legal teams were quietly monitoring every move. While no official lawsuits had been filed, lawyers on both sides were likely drafting contingency plans. What if someone went too far? What if a post or a video crossed a legal threshold? Hip-hop feuds might be cultural entertainment, but they exist within the framework of law, and with high-profile names like Curtis Jackson and T.I. involved, every action had potential repercussions. Financial implications were another layer entirely. Streams for T.I.'s new diss tracks surged exponentially, making War and Bully streaming powerhouses. Merch sales tied to the feud skyrocketed. Curtis's brand, meanwhile, saw attention that wasn't entirely negative. Curiosity drove traffic, increased engagement, and reminded everyone why he remains a titan in hip-hop culture. But here's the catch. Perception is key. King Harris had put Curtis on the defensive in the court of public opinion, and even though the real power move was grown man business, every fan debate and every viral clip chipped away at the untouchable image Curtis had cultivated for decades. And let's not forget the cultural implications. What does it mean when a 21-year-old can challenge one of hip-hop's most notorious trolls and moguls? When the internet and a family legacy collide, it forces everyone to rethink the rules. Hip-hop has always had a code: respect, loyalty, never cross family lines. King Harris shattered that unwritten rule, and Curtis responded not with rage, but with strategic indifference. That's a lesson in modern conflict. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't attacking, it's controlling the narrative without saying a word. By the end of February 27th, the battlefield looked like this. King Harris had forced Curtis Jackson to acknowledge him, even indirectly. T.I. had reasserted his dominance and protected his family's honor. And the culture? Obsessed, divided, engaged, and completely unprepared for the psychological precision of Curtis's response. Social media historians will talk about this moment for years, not just because of the dices, the posts, or the tracks, but because it redefined the mechanics of modern celebrity conflict. And here's where it gets even juicier. Alleged FBI documents, old family drama, viral posts near grave sites, all of it exposed something bigger than just a beef. It exposed the fragility of public perception, the weaponization of misinformation, and the raw human emotions that drive our obsession with celebrity. Fans weren't just consuming music or memes. They were witnessing strategy, legacy, and loyalty collide in real time. And for King Harris, this was more than a feud. It was a rite of passage, a proving ground. And for Curtis, it was a reminder that even legends must sometimes play the long game. So what now? The posts are deleted, the deepfake clip is circulating, the diss tracks are live, and the culture is still buzzing. Both sides know the game isn't over, but Curtis's 4 words, grown man business, have set a boundary that no viral clip, no document, no diss track can cross. And that, my friends, is where the saga sits, at the intersection of loyalty, legacy, and modern-day digital warfare. The tension is palpable. The fans are invested. The media is frenzied. And while King Harris has proven himself fearless, Curtis Jackson has reminded everyone why he built an empire out of chaos. The stage is set, the players have made their moves, and now the culture waits, eyes wide, for the next chapter in one of the most viral, emotionally charged, and strategically masterful feuds hip-hop has ever seen. The Harris family drew a line. Curtis acknowledged it, in his own way. And the internet? Obsessed. Every reaction, every meme, every heated comment is now a permanent marker of this cultural moment. No apologies have been issued. No resolutions in sight. Just raw, unfiltered strategy, emotion, and spectacle. And that's how you take a story that starts with memes and alleged documents and turn it into a saga that's part psychological warfare, part cultural phenomenon, and 100% unforgettable. So where does that leave us? Chaos, loyalty, legacy, and a culture-wide debate that's still raging as we speak. King Harris proved he won't let anyone disrespect his family. Curtis Jackson reminded everyone why he's a master at this game. And T.I., well, he's watching it all unfold like a general surveying the battlefield. And you, sitting there scrolling through thinking you got the full story, you don't even know the half of it. But here's the truth. In hip-hop, respect is currency, family is non-negotiable, and perception is everything. One post, one clip, one track can change the game forever. And what happened here? It wasn't just a feud. It was a full-scale lesson in strategy, rage, and modern-day digital warfare. So now I've got to ask you, who really won this? King Harris for holding it down? Curtis Jackson for showing the ultimate grown man power move? Or is this saga just getting started, waiting for the next chapter to explode across your timeline? If you want the inside scoop, the uncut truth, and the kind of breakdown the media won't tell you, hit that like button, drop your comment, and subscribe. Because in this game, missing a beat means missing the story. And trust me, you don't want to be left behind.